My name is Susan Buckley and I'm a graduate from UCD. Going into secondary school was a very daunting experience for me. I'd come from a small primary school where I knew pretty much everyone, and so it was very scary to go in where I was the youngest and I didn't really know many people. I had heard a bit about my school from older siblings and from movies, but I didn't really know what to expect. Well, obviously in an all-girls school there can be some amount of bitchiness. I mean, some of my friends stuck with me through the 6 years and are still friends with me today, but other friends, I was close friends with them in first year, and by fourth year we barely even spoke, so it really just balanced it out over the years. Well, I definitely learned a lot of skills that made me into the person I am today. I learned how to deal with people. I was in boarding school, so I lived with girls 24/7. So that made me really independent of my parents and made me a stronger person in that sense. I didn't have as much help from my teachers as I did in primary school. I wasn't spoon fed as much, so it helped me kind of go about it on my own and get the work done by myself. I don't think the Leaving Cert is the best way to assess students. I feel it's pretty dated. Not everyone has the personality or brain type to sit and just learn off large chunks of material. Some people like to do things continuously, so I feel like introducing some more continuous assessment would really benefit people that don't necessarily have the concentration to sit down and study for long hours of time. I think I was well prepared given the circumstances, but obviously on the day there's nerves and not everything went to plan, but I think I did the best that I could. Obviously I wish that I hadn't gotten so caught up on small things like homework or fights with my friends or just minuscule things like that didn't really matter long term. Looking back, maybe if I'd gotten more involved in extracurricular activities I could have broadened my skills a bit more than I did, but overall I was really happy with my experience. My transition from secondary school to college was obviously very daunting, but thankfully just the way it worked out, a group of my close friends just happened to end up in commerce with me. But yeah, no, it was daunting to go from a sheltered boarding school into a new college where it was just a completely different experience. In secondary school I was spoon fed, I was assigned homework every night, and if I didn't do it I would be held accountable for it. But in college you just got the assignments and it was up to you to do it or not. There was no penalty for not doing it apart from just losing marks for your final exam, so that really was hard to adjust to because I was so used to being chased up on all of my work. I found it hard to become accustomed to this new way of learning because it was just a completely different experience for me. I found that I did slack off quite a bit at the start of first year just because I could and because no one was really chasing up on me. I really like getting bad grades, so I just kind of took it upon myself to turn things around and spent more time doing homework and readings and things like that. To go to Australia on an Erasmus, so I was really interested in that and I really wanted to go, so that kind of motivated me to study more and to put more effort into work and things like that. I applied for my Erasmus. Unfortunately I didn't get it, but I was still really happy with the progress I had made so far in college. My grades were a lot better and I continued this on through my 3 years. Group work and public speaking, particularly hard aspects of my new learning experience in college. Group work was a big adjustment for me. Just meeting new people and having to put a project together like just on the spot was kind of like a daunting experience, but obviously over the years I got better at it. Public speaking was something I really didn't enjoy doing in first year. I got very nervous and shy and I just wasn't really comfortable with it, but again over my 3 years I did so many presentations that it's just second nature now. I knew pretty soon what I wanted to do because I spent a month in an accountancy firm over the summer of first year, so I knew that I wanted to do something in accounting. Most people think accounting is really boring, but it's actually not as boring as people think. It's not just about number crunching, there's a social aspect to it too. In third year, my school, the Quinn School, notified me that the milk rounds were coming up, and the milk rounds are essentially the four big major accountancy firms like offering graduates positions in their companies. So I had to apply, I had to research about the company so I knew, you know, how to speak about them, I knew the backgrounds, so I could know which one I wanted to go to most. So I got all my information, I applied for the big four, and I waited to see what would happen. I heard back from two companies that I had gotten interviews from, which were Deloitte and KPMG, so I was really happy with that. I had to do a lot of preparation for my interview because obviously I'd never done anything like it, so I wanted to make sure I was as prepared as I possibly could. I researched the companies more, got up to date with like current events and things like that, just so I could be able to speak about anything that they threw at me. I definitely learned a lot from applying to these companies. It really increased my confidence. I learned kind of leadership skills, time management, things like that. I also spent a lot of time preparing for the interview, so that kind of broadened my skills in that aspect as well. I had gotten two interviews from Deloitte and KPMG, and I heard back from Deloitte first. I was checking my emails every day in anticipation because obviously I just wanted to know the news, and unfortunately I didn't get Deloitte, so I was really disappointed about that, and it just made me wonder about KPMG more and more. So I was literally checking my email every minute of every day, and I was so happy to hear that I had gotten KPMG, so that was such a huge relief to me, and it was just kind of nice to know where I was going next. I heard that KPMG would sponsor me to do a master's, which I was absolutely delighted about. I think doing a master's is an integral part of your education. I mean, you broaden your skills in a huge way, and you also make connections, be it personal or business connections, that will stay with you for the rest of your life. I wanted to do my master's in Smurfit, so I applied for an accountancy master's in Smurfit, but I also applied to DIT just as a plan B if anything went wrong in that sense. Thankfully, I got my master's in Smurfit because I got my 2-1, so I was really delighted with that. I've just started my contract with KPMG. I finished my master's, that went very well, and my plan for the next 5 years would be to finish my 3 years in KPMG, maybe take a year out and go travelling, maybe 2 years, I'll see how I get on, and then just to come back to Ireland and focus on my career and build it up. Overall, I was very happy with my experience in college, and the whole experience moving into KPMG was pretty straightforward, and UCD made it really easy for me to do that.
it from there. I'll get them to feel it.
Smile.
I'm terrified of dropping this. Like, I'm mad.
Here.
It's like 20 grand. I'm like,